As I complete this body of work, I reflect on the journey in which I have aimed to depict a deeply emotional topic, which has become even more poignant as the world continues to endure this horrific pandemic of COVID-19, with so many people losing their lives and thousands isolated and lonely. I had chosen my topic prior to COVID as it had connected to my previous subject in contemporary practice, which was of loss, which often in itself can lead to isolation and loneliness. Little did I know how immediately relevant my topic was going to be. Isolation and loneliness has been deemed as a 21st century illness to such an extent that countries have appointed a minister of loneliness, a sad effect of the rush about, no time to connect, no time to think or enjoy the moment of the age that we are now living in. This is apart from the low isolation and loneliness, often as the result of health or physical issues, death of a loved one, or the traumatic events which can often result in forms of post-traumatic stress syndrome. This led to my topic for research, the importance and the place of textile art within the banner of art therapy. Therapeutic art can support, heal, and mend both mind and body, as well as provide social connections and a sense of belonging. Textile art has taken a long time to be accepted as a powerful tool in the realms of art therapy, although textiles have been around since before records began. My own life experiences and the work I did during my career not only informed my work, but allowed me to understand the difficulty people had on explaining emotions and feelings. They are often embarrassed or told to buck up and get on with it, and yet these emotions need to be expressed in order to begin to heal and mend, to find support and peace. Textile art can be used to express these emotions either in an abstract manner or a more direct, visually illustrated form. A strong inspiration for my work has been the artist of Beverly Aileen Smith on her work of grief and melancholia, and more recently her exhibition Torn Apart, which was based on expressing feelings of loss. The artist's work showed me how sensitive issues can be discussed within our art. We can create a work which narrates strong emotions and yet not offend. Not actually speaking for others, but allowing the viewer to possibly connect and realize that actually, yeah, that's how I felt. Or, I'm glad I'm not alone in thinking like this. My collection of 6 pieces are closely connected. However, each individual piece shows an different view of the range of emotions and feelings experienced when coping with isolation and loneliness. During this assignment, I have made several key decisions. I constantly refined my original proposal to ensure that all 6 pieces connected cohesively within my theme and also with my developing research. I removed the piece that stood alone, which was a paper and lace bowl, and using the original drawings from the bowl, I developed the skull and the random thoughts. It also made me realize pieces that I could not achieve in the present restrictive conditions we were working with, and also the time scale, and these were the chain and the figure enclosed by a metal spiral. I extended pieces, where to do so strengthened the visual and conceptual viewpoint. The brain cells was the item in question here. And the increasing of the individual pieces of work provided greater impact. I revisited my sketchbook. Had I overlooked an idea which was of value? And this provided the inspiration and the development for Alice's Tunnel. I learned to combine different water-soluble mediums, not just staying with the one that I was familiar with. I use different weights because different weights of water-soluble mediums leave a greater or lesser residue in the threads, which allows for a greater scope of realizing ideas and designs and constructing three-dimensional objects. I explored the use of tissue paper. Could I make it stronger? Could I combine it with wax? And combining the wax with the water-soluble medium actually provided a very unexpected surface texture. I explored using three-dimensional pieces. How far could I push the residue left in the thread to support an object? I constantly ensured that the fragility of the work is never compromised in the presentation, and this was constantly reflected throughout. I combined LED technology to further my concept, and this was an unexpected development within my work, which I will continue to build upon. Acknowledging that less sometimes has a more powerful voice. I remained very constant to my colour palette, even though I did receive some criticism from one or two students. I felt my reasons, which I've explained at the end of the video, actually reinstates why I used the colour palette I did. I learnt that it's quite to constantly refine, redevelop and go back to what I had initially wanted from an idea and how by constantly refining, I could actually achieve it. It just meant sometimes starting again. I analysed my original dark blue vessel, and I realised that the vessel needed to be deeper, more tunnel-like, to accentuate the darkness that can envelop an isolated or lonely person. The fabric strands were replaced with trailing leaves, which reflect life can emerge from the darkness. I continued to refine and review my work throughout this assignment. As I complete my collection, my colour palette was criticised initially by a student who felt it was too samey, I think was the word that was used. However, I have felt that I needed to keep true to this colour palette for the reasons here. My research and personal experience directed that when faced with isolation and loneliness and associated mental health issues, we don't see colour like bright yellow and oranges and colourful blues and spring-like greens. It is as though the colour is washed out of life. We see grey, neutral, maybe deep dark blue. The red in my work relates to our lifeblood, also the anger and the strength also of the human spirit. Other artists that I have researched have also noted this within their work. They have used maybe more greys and browns and darker colours like that. However, I felt for this collection, these colours were very true to how I felt when I was developing the work. The only pale colour is that of the human skull, and for me that actually is the correct colour because it was bone-like.